Habs fans and hockey diehards. Have you ever seen a high-stakes poker game where the dealer sets the buy-in so outrageously high that it's basically a dare to even sit at the table? What happens when the most aggressive, prospect-loaded buyers in the NHL charge full speed into an unyielding, titanium wall of corporate resolve? Today, we're diving into a seismic shift in the Atlantic Division trade market, focusing on the Toronto Maple Leafs and a player who's become the untouchable core of their future. Matthew Knies is no longer just a prospect or trade chip. He's the beating heart of Toronto's 2027 roster reset. And the failed attempts by the Montreal Canadiens and Buffalo Sabres to pry him away have just sent a thunderous message to the entire league. Strap in for a forensic breakdown of this front office warfare. Let's cut straight to the bone and lay out who Matthew Knies really is, because a casual fan might still see him as just another young guy finding his way. That's a dead narrative. We're talking about a 23-year-old physical freak who's fused elite scoring with the kind of brutal, trench warfare grit that Toronto has hungered for over a decade. In 72 games this season, Knies has piled up 21 goals, 39 assists for a staggering 60 points. But stats only scratch the surface of his true value. In today's NHL, where playoff success hinges on winning board battles, owning the net front, and intimidating defensemen, a 23-year-old power forward producing at nearly a point per game is a rare, game-changing asset. You don't draft a player with that raw, violent skill set just to flip him when times get tough. You build your entire locker room culture around him. But when a franchise like Toronto stumbles into chaos with a vacant GM chair and a collapsed management regime, the Sharks start circling. Rival GMs smell weakness and assume everything's up for grabs and fire sale. That's where the bombshell report from Darren Dreger, backed by Austin Kelly's sharp analysis, pulls the curtain back on predatory trade talks launched by two fierce Atlantic rivals, the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres. Both teams, armed with deep prospect pools, zeroed in on Knies as the ultimate weapon to turbocharge their playoff hopes. But they grossly underestimated the steal in MLSE CEO Keith Pelley and the new boundaries set by Toronto's front office. Let's dissect the offer that came from Montreal's war room with ruthless precision. According to sources in Pelley's own press conference remarks, the Canadiens dangled Michael Hage as the centerpiece to lure Knies away. For those not glued to scouting pipelines, Hage is a dazzling 19-year-old talent, picked 21st overall in the 2024 draft, 10 spots ahead of Toronto's Ben Danford. Toronto scouts were reportedly enamored with Hage during his draft year, drawn to his explosive speed, elite hockey IQ, and sky-high offensive potential. Montreal's brass tried to exploit that past interest, but here's where it gets jaw-dropping. They floated a straight one-for-one swap, Hage for Knies. Let that sink in. In the brutal world of NHL asset management, there's a clear divide between potential and proven impact. Hage is potential. A mystery box who could become a top-line star in 4 years or flop against the speed and violence of the pros. Knies is proven, a 60-point, battle-hardened power forward right now at 23. Proposing a direct trade like that isn't just bold. It's borderline disrespectful. Toronto made it crystal clear they wouldn't move Knies for any single prospect, slamming the door shut when Montreal refused to sweeten the pot with premium assets. They were banking on a delusion that their untested kid matched Toronto's reality. Now, let's shift our focus to Buffalo, a team overflowing with young talent, but starving for the heavy, punishing forward play that dominates the Atlantic. The Sabres came armed with a different beast. Radim Mrka, drafted 9th overall in 2025. Mrka is a defensive unicorn, a 6'6", right-handed blue liner with immense reach and smooth skating. They nearly shipped him to St. Louis in a failed Colton Parayko blockbuster, showing he's their top trade currency. With a prospect pool heavy on small, skilled forwards, Mrka is their ticket to add size up front. A towering right-handed defenseman is exactly the kind of cornerstone Toronto's blue line has craved for years. The temptation must have been massive. Yet, Toronto held firm, setting an asking price so steep that Buffalo had to walk away. Why? Because you can't gut your top 6 forwards to fix the defense without collapsing your offensive ecosystem. Knies is a guy digging pucks out of corners for Toronto snipers, taking cross-checks in the crease. Remove him, and the Leafs revert to a perimeter passing finesse team, the exact flaw that's doomed them in playoffs past. Pelle's decision to publicly name-drop these elite prospects in a press conference is a power move of epic proportions. GMs and CEOs rarely reveal specific assets from other teams unless they're sending a calculated signal. Pelle was broadcasting to the hockey world. We're not sitting idle. We're getting offers with top 10 picks and elite teenage centers. And we're saying no because Matthew Knies is worth far more to us than any unproven future. It's a bold declaration of untouchability, a line in the sand for the entire league. This brings us to the philosophical fork in the road Toronto is navigating. Trading Knies makes zero sense for a team aiming to retool, not rebuild from scratch. In roster construction, who you trade away shapes your identity as much as who you bring in. Moving your best 23-year-old forward would be a white flag to fans, media, and a locker room, signaling a closed competitive window and a retreat into a 5-year rebuild. For a franchise claiming to balance future planning with current contention, Knies is the archetype you build around, not sacrifice. A real retool means offloading aging, overpaid veterans on the decline, while protecting young, cost-control stars like him. If you're trading Knies, the return better start with someone like Hage, a first-round pick, and another top young player. Anything less is mismanagement. The next GM stepping into Scotiabank Arena must have one mandate etched in stone: make Knies the physical and cultural bedrock of this new era. Toronto has spent years chasing grit through free agency, hunting for the elusive power forward to complement their finesse stars. They finally drafted, developed, and unleashed that player in Knies. To trade him now, just as he's tapping into his terrifying physical dominance, would be a betrayal of the hockey gods. Rejecting Montreal and Buffalo isn't just a trade rumor. It's the war cry of a new Leafs identity. Sometimes, the best trade you can make is the one you fiercely refuse to pull off. I need your raw, executive-level takes on this front office battle right now. Do you think Toronto made the right call by rejecting a one-for-one with a top prospect like Hage? Or should they have cashed in on Knies' soaring value for a defensive giant like Merca? Crush that like button to tell the algorithm you demand deep, unfiltered hockey intelligence and salary cap breakdowns. Make sure you're subscribed because we're tracking every whisper, rumor, and tactical shift as Toronto hunts for its new architect. Drop your verdict in the comments. Is Knies truly the untradeable cornerstone of this franchise for the next decade? Let your voice resonate in our think tank. Keep your focus sharp on the data and stay locked in for the next deep dive.